chances of a Hall of Fame player.
Absolutely. So here we go. We are underway. He pulls Eagle of the Watch to the front, and here's an Eidolon of Blossoms. Now that is an interesting, potentially very powerful card here for Huey. Looks like the best card in the pack.
Yeah, I mean, Forgeborn Oread's another great Constellation card. Quarry Colossus, good, essentially comes into play and kills something. But we were talking about Eidolon of Blossoms at a segment before the show. Just it can totally take over a game and is always going to give you card advantage the second you cast it.
That's right. Interestingly, we are actually talking about both of those cards, too. So this is two powerful cards here for Huey, but he's going to go for Eidolon of Blossoms. Hard to blame him. Such a powerful spell. I asked a question on that. If your opponent plays it and you either have the option of playing your own creature or killing it, do you kill it?
I think you've got to just
kill
that
And you kill
card.
it. Yeah, even though it's just a 2/2 on the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, right. It just turns all your other enchantments into cantrips. And I've heard that Huey's team, Channel Fireball the Pantheon, loves being in green in this draft format.
Wow. So here's some nice stuff at the back of the pack here for Huey. He's got – he can combo off here with Riptide Chimera if he wants. He can also stay solid and take Feast of Dreams. Randy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Riptide Chimera combo. I think that, you don't really need to make your Eidolon that much better. You see a Starfish in the back.
There's a Starfish back there, too, yeah.
Spiteful Blow at its best in green-black because you can accelerate to it. Feast of Dreams, premier removal spell, and that looks like what he's going to go for.
I like Feast of Dreams a lot. I've heard some different opinions from different pros. Some of them think it's really, really great top-tier removal. Some of them put it down a little bit lower than that. I'm pretty high on it myself. And here's a Cast into Darkness that he's pulled to the front. Another card I'm quite high on as well. There's a Satyr Grove Dancer, which is okay, right? It's fine. It's a 2-drop. It does what 2-drops do. Basically a bear. It's a little bit more flexible.
I love a Temple of Malady if you're already in black-green. Supply Line Crane's one of the premier cards in the format. I really like Cast into Darkness in concert with your Eidolon, and just because it's very good. We see a Market Festival that Owen used to great effect throughout most of the top 8. It looked to me like he took Cast into Darkness. I couldn't quite see it.
I think he took a green card there.
Did he take the 1/1 that enters the battlefield and puts a counter on something?
I think he might have taken Satyr Grove Dancer, yeah.
All right, so Battle-wise, or Blood Crazed Hoplite,
and
Ox, an enchantment.
Yep, Nixon Fusion, another Satyr Grove Dancer hiding in the back there.
And I mean, one of the reasons you like being black, there's a lot of these enchantments that are also removal spells.
I love the super close-up slow-mo view that we have.
This is a fascinating
He's going to take a
experience.
Nixon Fusion. That's an interesting pick there. It does work well with his Eidolon of Blossoms. It is a removal spell, just pretty conditional.
Yeah, it kills small things, but it does a reasonably good job of that.
All right, he's pulled a Renowned Weaver to the front of the pack. Now, that might not look like much, but it actually works well with the Eidolon of Blossoms as well, as the 1/3 Reach Spider is an enchantment. But he's got a Humbler of Mortals there, too, a perfectly good 6-drop that's also an enchantment.
Yeah, I will say I like
how much do you want to move in on enchantments here? Like,
I don't love it.
Weaver.
I like Renowned Weaver. It's a good early drop. You can do some tricky things with it. It gets a creature in your graveyard, which black-green likes to do. I like the Weaver there. Humbler just is... There's a lot of cards that behave similar to Humbler of Mortals.
It is not a card that is in high demand. Blood Crazed Hoplite is what Huey's looking at now. There's also a Ravenous Lucracota in this pack, but he's going to pass that one.
I've started to like Louie more and more the more that I play with him.
I do too.
Yeah.
I have too. I remember thinking, fine, sure, whatever. But the more I play it, I'm like, this card just doesn't really let you down that often.
So that's why they call him Solid Louie.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Nyx Weaver here for Huey. Remember, he's in black-green, so this is going to go right in his deck. It's an enchantment. It's value. It's good. If it was a 2/3 reach for 3, you would play it anyway. Like, this is just a great pickup for Huey.
And it allows him to take some of the either fonts or March of the Return, just ways of really capitalizing on having a graveyard full of cards. There's stuff like Nemesis of Reason, obviously, but, even just raise dead effects. Very powerful when you can stack your graveyard at will.
All right, he's pulled Aspect of Gorgon to the front. There's some pretty decent cards left in this pack, though. Man, a Crowan Mastiff sitting back there. It's a little scary.
Quarry Colossus and a Crowan Mastiff just signaling that white is wide open, but Huey deeply committed to both black and green. Not really a reason to get out of that right now.
No.
Another Quarry Colossus.
There's a Crufix's Insight that he's going to take here.
Yeah,
And Rashad Miller with the fist pump there, because you know what? We're going to see some graveyard shenanigans potentially from Huey here.
yeah, and Black-Green wants to load up its graveyard. Huey already has a decent amount of enchantments. He can essentially tutor for that Eidolon. I like that pick a lot.
He takes Cruel Feeding here. Probably not going to make the cut in his deck, but he wants to cut black as hard as possible. He just wants to make it abundantly clear to the people on his left, no, you're not in black, I am.
Yeah, you want to send an unambiguous signal to the rest of the draft. A late Market Festival, late Hulk. I think Hulk's actually pretty good. Starfall remaining in the pack.
I think so, too. I like the Hulk pick there. Doesn't really go super synergistically, but the other Krufix's Insight came back, and we could see some pretty nasty stuff. Now, you do need some things to fall in place to really make that graveyard abuse great for you, and there's Font of Return.
And Font is a great late pickup for Huey
Wow.
here. Likely to, A, he can hit it off of his Krufix's Insight. B, likely to have just a stacked graveyard. I mean, that's going to represent just +3 cards a reasonable percentage of the time.
Yeah, I was just saying that he's going to need to find some ways to abuse that, and then right there he picked one, and it was second to last in the pack.
And also, Huey's deck's got a great mana curve. I mean, on top of everything else, he's got...
Yeah, 1s, 2s, 3s, a couple of 4s. Has he even hit 5 yet?
Doesn't look like it.
No. The biggest creature he has is the Rotted Hulk. That's his 4-drop. Why are you laughing? It's true.
Oh, I mean, that's and that's where I like to. I'm laughing because that's exactly where I like to be in a green deck. I like to get my 6-drops as late in the draft as I can, because if you start picking them early, you're liable to have just a really top-heavy deck that can't get off the ground. By focusing on your early drops, you're making sure that you can survive into the late game, where your natural card power is just likely to be superior to that of your opponents.
Now, he is going to need to find some big hitters late, right? Now, they're easy to get. Vulpine Goliath, sure, right? It doesn't take much, but he is going to need to pick those up at some point here. Let's see what he picks up out of this pack. It is Noble Quarry, which is a good card. Fine magic card. It's an enchantment. It can do some things that you don't normally have to deal with. You know, you bestow that thing out of nowhere, and you can really kind of get people with it. But perhaps not super exciting as a Pack 2 pick one here for Huey.
No, I mean, you don't mind having one of these in your deck. You're actually kind of excited about it. You see Bolt of Kharanos, see Sudden Storm, just, you know, superior cards and other cards, Archetype and Red. I mean, but Noble Quarry is very, very good, both to hardcast and to bestow. I mean, you're not too disappointed, I think, by first picking it.
All right, let's see if we can pick up something with a little more bite to it here. It's still early in the pack. Removal still in play. Well, something with a little more bite to it, I guess he might pick up here. He sees a Necrobite and an Unravel the Ether. It looks like he's favoring Unravel the Ether here.
You know, I do like Necrobite. You've got Blood Crazed Hoplite. You've got a lot of little creatures like the Renowned Weaver. Unravel, I mean, I do like to have one enchantment removal spell in most of my main decks. Unravel about as good as it gets. It can deal with gods. It's instant speed.
Yeah, besides Consigned to Dust, I think Unravel is probably the best of those. I think it's actually fairly close there. He did take Unravel, though. Some decks want Necrobite more than others. I think his might actually want it.
The other thing is you already have a Feast of Dreams, so you have some built-in ways of dealing with enchantments or enchanted things. That said, obviously one's better than the other. Now, this is a big pickup.
Yeah, that's a nice one for him. I mean, it's a pretty offensive creature, right? I mean, it's not something that, like, he's going to have to find the right slot to get that thing on and start beating down with, but it's an enchantment. It has Bestow for only 4 mana. Yeah, definitely a solid pickup with Spiteful Return here for Huey.
Yeah, you hit it off your Krufix's Insight. I love to target a Hoplite with that. A Crazed Hoplite. I mean, I mean, he's just got enough early drops that it gives him an additional aggressive 2-drop. It gives him a 4-drop that gives him a heroic trigger and an enchantment. He hits it off Krufix's Insight. I mean, it's just everything his deck wants.
Drown in Sorrow, Forsaken Drifters. There's also a kind of awkward Setessan Oathsworn potentially. There's a Chromanticore that he pulled to the front for a minute. I don't think we can go that deep here, though. What do you think about Drown in Sorrow here?
I like it. I tend to like it the most in black-green. Now, he has a lot of smaller creatures, but he doesn't have to play right into his Drown, but looks like he's going for Oathsworn.
Okay. Setessan Oathsworn it is.
All right. Wow, another Oathsworn, a Wayfinder, a Weight of the Underworld, yet another enchantment. But if you're going to take that first Oathsworn, I think you're going to probably take the second one.
Yeah, he did. Not too bad at pickups after picking that Spiteful Return. Those type of cards are really good. Chance he wheels the Nyxborn Eidolon. That would be really nice for him.
And with those Oathsworns, he's already got an aspect of Gorgon. You can basically expect, even if you pick up pretty weak creature enchantments, if you have 2 Krufix's Insight, you can dig to them, which makes it pretty easy to level up those Setessan Oathsworns.
Yeah, absolutely. And not much for Huey here, though. He's going to have to settle for a Forsaken Drifters or War Chanter. He could just cut Kiora's Follower. It's just not an exciting pack for Huey here.
Yeah, I respect the drifters. I would probably hate Kiora's Follower. That card is just so unbelievable, and I don't see you having to play Drifters, but you might.
There's another Setessan Oathsworn. Oh, there's an Asphyxiate in this pack, too, though. He's got to go for that, right?
Yeah, and you still don't have that much help for those Oathsworn, so I think going all in on 3 of them risks just your draft not coming together. And Asphyxiate, just a premium black common. Really excited to see that still in the pack.
No kidding. That was a nice one. We're in the middle of the Born of the Gods pack here. He still has the Theros pack to go, which brings him a lot of awesome stuff. Fellhide Brawler does not fit the description of awesome stuff, unfortunately.
Still a card he might play. You've got to be disappointed to still see Fnatic of Well, I guess not disappointed. You might be excited to see Fnatic of Xenagos in the pack, because that means no one's red-green and is going to cast it against you. But
good point.
Far and away the most powerful card remaining in the pack.
Grizzly transformation and a Brawler. He'll take the transformation. Fits the same bill that you talked about with Aspect of Gorgon. You know, it's not a card that you'd really be excited to play, or even you actively try to avoid playing it. But with the Krufix's Insight times 2, you might just run it, especially with the double.
Well, exactly.
Oathsworn.
Yeah, I mean, Oathsworn is basically the best possible target for it. You can just kind of level it up really fast, kill your opponent in a couple attacks.
All right, so we've hit the last stage of this Born of the Gods pack. We're going to get a chance to review Huey's picks with him in a moment. He's going to show the camera, and we'll get an idea for what he's playing. He picked up a really late Eye Gouge. That could come in out of the board.
Was that I thought I saw a Satyr Wayfinder in that pack, but I guess not. I mean, that seems like a card intuitively that you wouldn't mind having. He was able to table the Forsaken Drifters.
Take the Chromantic Core. He didn't do it.
I like that idea. Oh, man.
Archetype of Endurance costs 1 million mana. Otherwise, it would be awesome because, I mean, it is an archetype. Therefore, it's an enchantment, and it would probably go in his deck pretty well, but that one's just too expensive.
There was some constructed technology at the Pro Tour last weekend to get an edge in black, blue, green control mirrors.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no sweepers in that format. That's pretty good. So, Huey Jenson firmly in green-black here. It's just a matter of power level, consistency. He's got to sort of figure out where he wants his curve to be. What are his finishers? I don't know that he has any real finishers yet. I think that, I mentioned it before, cards like Vulpine Goliath are going to be on his radar as late pickups that can really serve to beat down nicely.
Yeah, I mean, in Noble Quarry, kind of like a finisher. You know, you can set up a big attack, make all your opponent's creatures block it, get through the rest of your cards. Also, double Setessan Oathsworn can get very big very fast. That Eye Gouge, something you can use actually to target his Oathsworns just for 2+1/+1 counters. So he's got some things to do with them. The Grizzly transformation, again, both makes them big and makes them evasive. So I think he has a way of building into a finisher. The question is, do they have the support?
All right. So we're almost into the Theros pack here, and this is the big payoff here. I mean, the Theros pack really is where a lot of the great tools that he has access to are going to come. Fleshmad Steed, not one of them. Balefire Eidolon is one of them. He opens Spear of Heliod, which isn't really going to be on his radar. What are the green cards he has? Warrior's Lesson. What was the other?
I didn't see the. Oh, okay, that's a Hunt the Hunter.
Okay, Hunt the Hunter. So it's going to be Balefire Eidolon here for Huey. Great pickup.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've got to be curious about the Warrior's Lesson. Very, very, very strong with your Oathsworns, but so is Baleful Eidolon. It's an enchantment. It's an early drop. It's basically everything that you want right now. Not too excited to be passing that Spear of Heliod, but you've got some enchant removal, so it's not the game. But both that and Wingsteed Rider are still in the pack, going to set up the white drafters quite nicely.
I think the dream is that they fight it out over those white cards while you sit there with your green and black cards and get all the good stuff. All right, let's see what he gets out of the second pick. Ooh, Farika's Mender. A Tormented Hero there as well. There's always a dilemma at this point, right? Because the Freakus Mender is the one that's most likely to wheel here, but it's also probably the most important pickup for his deck.
I think that you can try to wheel the Mender. I mean, it's early enough, but it's just so good that risking it, I don't know that I want to risk it. Also, the 1-drops are pretty challenging because his mana is basically split down the middle right now, or at least it appears to be, with early black creatures asphyxiate, but also double Setessan and Oathsworn. But looks like he's going for Tormented Hero.
Run it. He's going to try it. So let's see. We're going to see if he can get that Freakus Mender back. That is the most likely of his potential picks there to come back, as you really do have to be green-black. I mean, sure, you can be green X and splash it if you really think it's great, but that card isn't always worth it, and it's excellent in Huey's deck.
We see a God's Willing still in the pack. Lash of the Whip, Nylea's Disciple, some of the standouts here. Not the best cards in the pack. I would think that honor goes to God's Willing, but still plenty of picks for Huey right here.
Yeah, Lash of the Whip is probably the pick. I mean, he doesn't have that much removal, just like straight up, you know, reach out and kill something. He's got that Asphyxiate floating around in there. He has the Feast of Dreams, but even though it's not a premium removal spell, Lash of the Whip, it usually gets the job done, and you do need those tools in your deck somewhere.
Yeah, you've got to be able to kill problematic permanents, and Lash of the Whip doesn't do that efficiently, but it does do that job.
All right, interesting choices here. Nothing super exciting, but Mogus's Marauder or a Nessian Courser seem to be the two top choices for him here.
I'm pretty into that Nessian Courser. If he wants to start getting aggressive, he's already got a 3-slot with those Oathsworns. Courser, very, very strong in an aggressive green strategy, and that looks like what he's prioritizing.
It's all of the Oathsworn, none of the work.
Certainly gets you your first 2 Oathsworn counters for free.
Ooh, Sip of Hemlock here, though. Oh, and a Gray Merchant as well. So this is one of those agonizing packs where really it's a matter of priorities for Huey. He has to decide if he needs just a solid value spell like Gray Merchant that can do things that are, you know, really powerful in the game, or if he just needs a removal spell with Sip of Hemlock.
I think given that you just picked up Lash, you take Gray Merchant. Gray Merchant, obviously a much more powerful card, but you're leaning pretty heavily green, so it's not going to, you know, drain for tons of damage. But another Lash of the Whip and a Disciple of Phoenix for Huey. Disciple comboing very nicely with the Gray Merchant of Asphodel. Lash of the Whip, he's shown he already wants some. Still good removal, but I really like Disciple here. Wow, Wingsteed Rider's still in the pack.
I know that that's going to make Huey cringe, but at least he has good options for his deck here. Picks up another playable pretty late in this pack.
Yeah, and I think you want Disciple both for Gray Merchant and to just increase your creature count.
All right, he has nothing here. There's an Unknown Shores that he could play, or that he could take, excuse me, not play. He could just hate draft something here. Yeah, he's just going to take a 2-drop. Whoop. No, he said, well,
yeah,
maybe I end up casting that.
Huey has a lot of enchantments that are very strong. And Destructive Revelry, when it's live, is, you know, just obviously one of the best possible things you can do against an enchantment. So.
All right, so he's got Lash of the Web, Centaur Battlemaster, Blood Toll Harpy. There's also a Fellhide Minotaur floating around in there. A lot of choices here. It looks like, you know, well rewarded for being in the colors that he's in. He's going to take a second Lash of the Whip here to sort of shore up the rest of his removal. His removal suite looks a lot better now.
So we've got March of the Return, which can capitalize on the graveyard. Fleshmad Steed really fills out the mana curve, though I don't think he has that many 2-drops, so I think the horse is a relatively straightforward pick.
Yeah, got it back. Freakus Mender. Everybody at home can cheer. He went for the wheel, and he got his wheel. That was the most likely, and it came through for him, so big pickup there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he wants to be topping out his curve with. He's got the Tormented Hero early. He's got Gray Merchant late to deal some damage. Fleshmad Steed gives him some more aggression. And with Freakus Mender, it allows him to play very aggressively early on. His opponent going to have to trade. Mender getting a creature back and giving you a 4/3, just very, very powerful.
Yeah, man, there's a nice 3-drop with Fellhide Minotaur there for Huey. I like how this has turned out for him.
Flamecast Wheel, a phenomenal rate of 6 mana for 3 damage, but
and you can't hit a player with it or anything either. So you can take a look at our table. There's Cyto to